on this episode of A Tale of Two Hygienists.
For years, I've been saying, where's our PR movement? Where's our PR movement? Why aren't we doing PR? Why aren't we educating the public and our legislators as the importance of a hygienist? And I just don't get it, because I think we've missed a huge opportunity. We probably wouldn't be here today if we had been doing this work for the last 5-10 years. I think it's time for dental hygienists, if we are going to change anything, to elevate themselves. We can't just continue to practice the way we practice and jump into offices and let legislators who are our patients, right, feel that all we do is polish and dismiss, because then, they're thinking they can train on the job. So we started this initiative. We don't have the red tape that other organizations have. We don't have to ask permission of a board or a house to say we're going to run a PR campaign.
Yeah, this is a tale, oh yeah, a tale of two hygienists. So there might be only one, bringing the best of dental knowledge, and we do it all with ease. We cover oral health and screening, and preventing gum disease. We're gonna do a lot of learning, and have a little bit of fun working at the dentist. A tale of two hygienists.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of A Tale of Two Hygienists podcast, episode number 494. I'm your host, Andrew Johnston, and thank you so much for being with us today. I think you're going to be happy that you are here. In this episode, Jackie and I catch up with Lisanda and Maisonet. We talk about, this is going to be a little bit different, where we talk about a unique way to, I guess, essentially crowdsource a campaign to help make the public aware of who we are and what we do as dental hygienists. I think that's something that's very much lacking. I think that they know, but they really don't know what we do. And I think that goes deeper on the healthier population, where their prophy appointments are very simple, as opposed to maybe some of the more in-depth perio procedures. In this episode, she talks about a new organization that she started, the Oral Health Awareness Project. She talks about what their mission is, where the funds go, how it's going to be tracked and reported on. And more importantly, she keys in on the fact that the very people that are writing legislation have very, very little understanding of the different people at a dental office. I think she kind of touched on this a little bit in the episode, but like, they go into the dental office and it's just a blur of people and then dentist, right? Like, it's, for a lot of people, for better or worse, that really is how they feel. And so while there's much work to be done in the space, and there are many organizations that work behind the scenes, this particular movement is trying to take some of that work and put it right front and center for the public. I do have some links in the show notes. One of them is where you can go and participate. I did send my donation in earlier this week, but like everything, you got to do your research. They have lots of webinars you can watch. I just took a webinar the other day about legislation, and it was phenomenal. You have to ask the questions, no matter how hard the questions might be, but you have to ask before you participate. And let this be a personal choice for you, especially if it's a cause that you might choose to want to believe in. In other news, we have several upcoming episodes. I've been speaking with a lot of people about some of the content coming out. We have a great episode talking about ortho. We have one about cybersecurity that is going to be unlike anything that you've ever heard before, and so many more other things. So please make sure that you subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss one of those episodes. Thank you again for always listening and supporting us. I hope you enjoy this conversation with Lisanda.
A tale of two hygienists.
Listeners, welcome into the, I guess, interview portion. It's not really going to be an interview. It's a discussion portion of the podcast today. Joined today by Lisanda again. Jackie, welcome again. Lisanda, there's been so much crazy chaos movement in the hygiene world over the last several years. Part of it is a lot of disorganization. And then you and I, we kind of touched points over several years. I'm like, hey, what are you doing now? What am I doing now? What are we doing now? Like, we can't really seem to line up, but I've been following your work, and it's pretty incredible what you're doing.
Thank you.
How do you have the energy, first of all, to do all of these things?
I don't know. I just, when I'm passionate about something, I find the energy. It's exhausting. It is, because it's not just organizing something like this. All of a sudden you have hygienists from across the country, sending personal messages, trying to call you. So then it adds
Mhm.
everything else to the plate. And I'm just the type of person that I don't like to turn anyone away. So if I get 100 messages, I'll answer 100 messages. So, yeah, it's just the excitement of seeing what's out there and seeing what we need to do. And I've been for years, especially with our mission with this project, for years I've been saying, where's our PR movement? Where's our PR movement? Why aren't we doing PR? Why aren't we educating the public and our legislators as to the importance of a hygienist? And I just don't get it because I think we've missed a huge opportunity. We probably wouldn't be here today if we had been doing this work for the last 5, 10 years.
You're probably getting your energy from those 100 text messages and emails that you're receiving because you see that you are filling a void, you're fulfilling a purpose, and people are confirming that they need your message. So that's where you're getting your energy.
Yeah, I agree. And I think for me, like the hardest thing has been gaining people's trust
Well, that's
because a
kind of
lot of people have lost trust in what's out there. So saying, listen, we are going to do this. If we say we're going to do it and you join in and you help us, it's going to happen. But it's trying to rebuild trust, and rebuilding trust is not always easy if individuals haven't had, the best experiences or haven't seen things moving in the way that they want it
your
moving.
Well, let's.
transparency is helping.
Yeah.
Oh, for
Sorry,
sure.
Andrew,
And
go ahead.
let's. That's all right. I'll be able to say words sometime at
Maybe.
this point. Um, but let's get into the problem of this, like the genesis. That was this a I don't want to say failure because I feel like failure is kind of a little bit subjective, right? So was this a we didn't put enough effort in, or we did put as much effort as we possibly could with the support that they had, and it just wasn't enough? Like, was there a fundamental problem that was happening, or was there someone that was still trying to do the best they could the whole entire time and it just wasn't good enough?
I feel that as dental hygienists, we have to look at ourselves and say, what role have we played in this?
Mhm.
Because we also have to point fingers at ourselves. Like, what role have we played in it? When we go into dental practices and we accept 30-minute appointments, we go into dental practices and we don't have the time to provide comprehensive care. We go into dental practices and we polish and let go so the patient sees what we do as a cleaning. I think it's time for dental hygienists, if we are going to change anything, to elevate themselves. We can't just continue to practice the way we practice and jump into offices and let legislators who are our patients, right, feel that all we do is polish and dismiss, because then, yeah, they're thinking they can train on the job, right? Because how hard can it be to polish teeth? So I think the first thing is, we as dental hygienists as a profession, we need to look at ourselves. We need to evaluate the level of care that we provide. Are we treating ourselves as the healthcare providers that we are, providing services that can lead to saving lives? Or are we just going in, collecting a paycheck, running out? And that's why we have the sentiment that we have. So first, us, we have to start with us. And then second, I think the big problem is that because we're still seen as tooth cleaners, and I mean, even on Facebook, hygienists were still saying we clean teeth. And I'm like, stop using that terminology. At
Mhm.
my office, my admin team members know if someone says, I'm calling to schedule my cleaning, they change it. Oh, you mean your preventive care appointment with the dental hygienist? Because how do we not change that mentality unless we start teaching our patients that we do more than, we don't even polish, we airflow in our office. So we're not even polishing, right? So with that being said, I think the fact that the public still doesn't respect, or not respect because they don't know. How can they respect something they really don't understand or know? As long as they still see us as polished queens, like, we're not going to change the perception of the legislator who tries to introduce an OPA, or who tries to say, let's just train on the job to give some of the things that hygienists do to just anybody.
For the hygienist that's listening to this and being like, okay, that's cool that you're saying all these things. I want to do these things, but in my office, I'm being held back. In my office, my doctor doesn't allow me to, either the time, or, has pulled me aside and said, hey, don't do this, and this, just clean teeth. I mean, how far do you push on something like that? And at what point does the dental part of the dental profession bear some responsibility for lack of better words, dumbing down our profession?
Yeah. Um, so as a practice partner, I get to deal with not just, seeing patients on occasion. I get to see the background of running a practice, paying the bills, and my big thing for hygienists, my message is you need to speak the language of practice owners. In the end, it's a business, right? They need to make money to make ends meet. So as hygienists, I think we have the capacity and capability to put a darn presentation together about why you need the time and how it's going to bring ROI to the business. You might think that giving me an hour is going to lose money, but listen, in an hour, we can salivary test. We can do a plaque test and show bacteria. We can close out on more non-surgical cases. Your restorative cases are going to last longer. More patients are going to come to the practice. We need to speak their language, and I think we failed to do that because a lot of them are so tunnel-minded or visioned that all they think about is, well, if I give them an hour, then we're going to lose 2 patients a day, and that's going to be this much money lost. But hygienists need to make the presentation. We're good at that. I think that we're intelligent individuals who are passionate. And I think that we can easily go to our practice owners and say, this is why I deserve this. And I'll share this because I had a hygienist come to me and ask for a raise and say, well, everybody else is making this. And I said, okay, that's great, but why do you deserve it? And I think that's a problem. Like they're saying, I want $50, $60 an hour because that's what everybody's making. Okay, well, tell me what you're going to do to deserve that $50, $60 an hour. How are you going to help to grow your dental hygiene department? How are you going to take the lead? And then these dentists have to let these hygienists take the lead. Use them to their fullest potential. A lot of them are bored because, maybe they are being treated as perfy queens. They want more. They want to do more. They're bored. Use them to their fullest capacity. And I think that's where dentists have failed. They haven't. They're not using them as co-therapists the way they should.
We've had, if we fast forward just a little bit, kind of in time, like we've had these past failures, these missteps, mistakes on multiple sides of the dental profession. We didn't get the awareness out to the public the way that we should have, to our legislators the way that we should have. So fast forward then now, was it earlier this month, June 2nd, I think is
June
when
2nd,
when your first post came up.
Mhm.
Do you want
Yeah.
to talk a little bit about kind of like, when you realize like, hey, I've had enough and now I have a dream for this next new thing?
Yeah. I started to think, how can we make a difference? And I want to launch this PR movement that's been in my head for 5 years. Like, how do we do this? And I knew that it couldn't be starting another organization that said, okay, you have to pay dues every year because people are hesitant to do that. So I
For
thought,
sure.
how about if we do something where it's a one-time donation, and we have 200,000 hygienists, over 200,000 licensed hygienists in our country. If we can get 2%, that's all we need. 2% of those dental hygienists to donate one time $100, we can do this. And so I started to look into it. I started to look into different hygienists that I have respect for in the industry to see, will you jump in and help me? Hygienists that I knew were passionate about this movement. And I presented my idea and I told them, I just want to put it out there. I know that the need is there. I know that hygienists are ready. I think their attention wasn't captured before. And now as they're seeing the legislation and the OPAs and, now Georgia potentially wanting to do an ADHP program in Georgia, I think all of a sudden hygienists are like opening up their eyes and going, oh my God, can we really sit back and let the same individuals fight the fight? It's not going to work if the same people are doing all the work. We need everybody to join in on it. So I just thought to myself, what can we do? And I thought this would be amazing. Let's launch a campaign or an initiative that's only focused on educating the consumer. And the consumer is our patients, the consumer is our legislators. Let's jump in so that they understand that CODA accredited education is important because we are helping to find things like cancers. We are helping to identify why diabetes is not controlled. We are helping to minimize the risk of heart attack. We have to do it. I love my patients. I love making a difference in their lives. And I know that hygienists went into this for the same reason. So I felt maybe we inspire them to do this and we let them know, hey, if we target the consumer is going to know to come into the practice and say, so what's your degree? Where did you graduate from? Who am I seeing today? They don't know to ask those questions. They trust that the dentist is going to hire individuals with the appropriate education. They don't know better. So let's target them. Let's them be on our side.
Well, and if you start educating the patient, then they're going to hold the dentist accountable.
Yes.
And then the hygienist is going to be able to present their story and their needs, supporting the dentist and the practice and working together to fulfill the consumer's needs, because now the consumer has become educated on what the practice is doing for them.
Absolutely. And that's the point, right? Let's have the patient say, this is what we demand. This is what we want.
I don't want to be, the fly in the ointment all the time. I don't
And
mind
don't.
sometimes, but let me push back a little bit
Should
on
I
this
be afraid?
because
Should I be afraid?
I don't know. I
Of
don't,
Andrew?
we
No.
can always edit this part
company.
out if we want to. No, but I think you know where this is going. It's like it's the same thing that you're asking for is this, this one-time donation. There's going to be critics who say, "Hey, you're basically saying the same thing that other, professional organizations have said. Just join us. If we would join us, then we would have beat this together a long time ago. But you guys all abandoned us and blah 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 blah. Just be part of it. Just be part of it. Just be part of it." For decades, I mean, that's what they're saying to me. So how is this really all that different? I mean, why couldn't they just easily pick up the torch and just do this themselves?
Okay. I know who we're speaking about, so I am going to speak candidly because I did reach out to our national organization because I see that they are struggling with membership. And for me, I thought, wow, this is the moment. If they think out of the box and if they launch a PR campaign that makes a difference and saves our profession, membership will skyrocket. It will. It'll
Absolutely.
come. It will come if they jump in and do it. The problem is, and in all my years of being involved in my constituent, which I absolutely love, I love my state and everybody that works in it. There's a lot of red tape, right, to these associations. You can't just jump and say, okay, we're going to do this. Although there's ways around it, Andrew, because emergency meetings can be called and they can say, we're stopping everything and focusing just on this. It can happen. However, they have to be willing to do it, right? So with that said, there's more red tape. There's more that they need to overcome, and we don't have to. So we started this initiative. We don't have the red tape that other organizations have. We don't have to ask permission of a board or a house or whatever it may be to say we're going to run a PR campaign. And I think that's where the difference is. We have the flexibility to say, okay, we already have the PR agency. All we need is the money and we can run with it. And nobody can say, but we have to submit a new budget and we have to do this. And we're on our 3-year plan of a 5-year plan and we can't touch this for 2 years. Well, I'm sorry to say 2 years for me is too late. In 2 years, if we don't do anything, I don't know that we'll have the profession as we see it today, because I think that many states will infiltrate OPAs and ADHPs and whatever else they come up with, to try and fix this hygiene shortage that we're hearing about. We don't have the time. So what makes us different? We can just jump and do it. We don't have to go through all the rules, regulations, bylaws, PRs, everything that other organizations have to go through.
I mean, yeah, I think at the end of the day, though, too, it's like we have a similar goal. Like we're all trying to do a similar thing. It's a big sandbox, man. Everyone can
It
play in the
is.
sandbox, and I think it's more important that people just are involved in some level. To the level that they feel comfortable with. I would feel more comfortable sometimes saying, "Hey, here's my $100 one-time donation," knowing that I don't have to continue. If I don't want to, if I don't like the outcome of it, I'm not going to get the scorn and the ridicule for not being part of the organization. Or I can say, you know what? Let me ask you, where is my money going? And I would expect you to be able to show me, hey, this is all the money we raised. Here's what it costs to pay the PR firm,
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera. So along those lines, can we talk about the transparency of where's that money going, what initiatives are planned, what is this really going to look like, and what would I, as someone who's going to donate to this, reasonably be able to expect for visibility of that donation?
Absolutely. So, what we're doing is as we're collecting the funds, every month we will release a report with what we collected and what's in that bank account. I'm hoping there's zero in the bank account because we had to give it all to the PR agency and firm, right? That's the goal because our goal is that all the funds collected will be used exclusively to pay the PR firm. That's it. And then there was a couple of different things that we had to pay, like the application for the 401c. We had to pay for the state paperwork and everything. And the Alliance of Pennsylvania still had funds that we donated to this. So we gave it all to them to be able to start things up. So all the money from this is going to PR initiatives. Once we collect everything that we need for paying the PR for 1 year, we're stopping collections. And then in 7 months, we'll say, how happy is everyone with what they've done? Do you want to go on for another year? And then if they say yes, then we'll start collections again. So we're not trying to make our bank accounts heavy or, hefty with, we don't want it. Whatever comes in, we want it right out for the PR firm. Because that's what it's for. That's all we're focusing on is the PR firm. And although I've gotten attacked on this, Andrew, oh my gosh, like I'm creating a divide. I'm creating a divide. How dare I? Why not put all my money in the same pot as, the other organizations? Because I was already told that that money wouldn't be able to be used for PR. So why would we put money in a pot where it's not going to be used for the initiative that we want? We can't, right? It's not a divide. We are not creating anything new, nothing membership based. We're doing something totally outside of the box thinking, which, by the way, I was told 13 years ago, the association had already looked at this. And I thought, 13 years ago, like maybe I wouldn't have put that out there because 13 years and we haven't been able to figure it out. That's
Well,
scary.
it's a 20-year plan. We're on year 13 of our 20-year
No,
plan.
that to me is very like that was even more disheartening. And then when I hear some leaders coming at me and saying, "Oh, you're delusional. This cost millions of dollars to do." And I'm like, "Well, no. We already have the quote from the agency and what they're doing for us is incredible." I mean, they're even creating videos. They're creating short video content for social media like TikTok and Instagram. And I mean, it's not just like anything. They're branding us. They're creating logos. They're doing press releases. They're getting us in the media. They're doing a lot for us for the amount of money. And for a year, it's $320,000, not $1 million or $2 million. So in retrospect, when I think of the budget of bigger organizations that bring in $6 million a year, I think we couldn't have put aside 0.5% of that money every year to launch PR campaigns. 0.5%. We're not asking for a lot. It's disheartening. Like that to me was when I saw that after I saw exactly what it would cost compared to what they were telling me it would cost. I think I was a little bit even more down because I thought, wow, 0.5% of our budget. That's all. That's all.
Well, Jackie and I did look at a breakdown a while ago, and I know several other hygienists, they've sent it to us, and we've all seen it. And there was at one point between all the PR firms and things that the other association was using, it was over $1 million worth of allocation to PR thing. It wasn't necessarily for these initiatives; it was for whatever else they were using it for. So I think that we could have easily pivoted some of that money into kind of what you're saying that we should have done. But who am I to say?
Yeah.
So let me ask you a little bit more though about the
And just to
focus area.
correct you, Andrew, the PR that they were doing was not to target the public, was not
No,
to
yeah, that's what
public
I'm saying. It
legislators.
wasn't
It
that.
was to select individuals that they can form into better leaders and what colors should you wear and how should you present yourself and go to these courses and become a better. So that's what it was spent on. It wasn't spent on let's educate the public on our work.
Yeah, and I think
Sorry.
that's
But I do
a
have to say that
glaring.
because I heard that too. Oh, they did do a PR movement, but what was the PR movement? What exactly was it focused on? Because we need to we can't compare it to this unless it's the same. And it wasn't.
Well, I'm going to jump in here. I'm going to be the fly in the ointment for a moment, Andrew. So you can cut this out if you need to. But we know as a group that there are over 200,000 hygienists in this country. And just like politics or religion, everybody is going to be able to make their own personal choice of what they want to
Absolutely.
believe and what they want to do. And that is where I think our associations, our alliances, our coalitions, that's where everybody serves a purpose. What our task is to accept all these different platforms and then all pull together as one voice when we are attacked. We're going to be stronger with numerous voices from every corner of this country rather than just one voice. And we know associations are struggling, as is ADA. So the ADA is not the voice of all the dentists. They're the voice of a very few. So there's a
Mhm.
lot of really, really good dentists still out there supporting us. And we're going to be stronger if we reach out with all kinds of organizations, associations, and groups rather than just one.
I agree.
So,
And Jackie, I have state constituents that are involved. I
oh,
had a state
absolutely.
constituent that donated and I highlighted it.
I mean, I can be a member of ADHA and your
Yes.
organization and
And
alliance
do they?
all. I mean, I don't
Exactly.
have to just pick one. I
Exactly.
mean, I'm putting my money into different pockets that are doing different things. Yours is just moving faster, which is really needed right now.
Yeah. And I've invited everyone to the table.
I
I've
know.
invited the association, I've invited alliances. The 3 alliances that have formed in our country have all joined
Yes.
in Texas, Washington, and Florida. They're all in with us. And
Nice.
there's other groups that have said, we want to work with you too. Even dentists are coming in and saying, how can we move this forward? Who believe in the dental hygienist.
It's only going to help their practices if they join.
Exactly.
So,
It'd be
Andrew,
great
it's like you
marketing.
said,
Be
I
like,
want to get in.
look who I hire.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to get in the sandbox and create beautiful castles together instead of throwing sand at each other's faces because that's not what it should be. Like, let's work together. We're all working in different ways. Is national necessary? Absolutely. They work on things that they really can push forward a lot easier than a small group can. So I absolutely believe that there is a purpose for a national association, but they need to focus on that. And when they can't focus on something like this, then they should say, okay, we can't do it because of our rules, but let's jump in and help them because they can, because we're all working towards the same goal,
yeah.
Jackie.
Yeah. Just support it rather than,
That's it.
yeah, demean it.
Yeah.
So I don't know why my brain thinks this way. I want to talk about just like the fundamentals of a couple of things. If I again choose to donate, choose to participate in this, how do I know what the focus areas are going to be? Is this geographical? Is it based on legislation that's pending? Like, how do I know where the focus of the organization is going?
So it's nationwide. So it's going to target all states, not just 1 or 2 states. So these campaigns are going to be nationwide. They're going to go out to everyone and they're going to be useful for every single state. But to your point, let's say that Pennsylvania decides to introduce an ADHP and Pennsylvania needs more help from the PR campaign to inundate our legislators. The PR firm will jump in to help us target the state that we need to target, which is beautiful because then we can help states as issues arise. My hope is to get ahead of it, right? So that we don't have to wait for Pennsylvania to introduce
Mhm.
something like this.
Yeah.
We can educate so that the people that would introduce it don't ever introduce it because they understand why they shouldn't. But yes, the PR movement. And I don't know if you know, and if anybody wants to understand more about exactly what the PR movement's going to do, please hit our Facebook page, the Oral Health Awareness Project. And there's a kickoff meeting, and it was about an hour. And we went through a whole presentation that the PR firm shared with us with every single little thing that they're going to work with. So if you want to know exactly what it entails, go sit down, watch the presentation. It's all in there for you. So that'll help too, so that everybody understands the movement. But yeah, they're gonna jump in wherever we need it, which is great.
Is that recording on your website as well?
It's on the Facebook page, not on the website yet, but we'll have to create a page and put it on there.
Okay.
My brother was kind enough to do our website for free for us, like the 2 pages, just so we can get started. So I will tag along with him and see if he can do another page where we can put on like today's legislative meeting, which I think is important because Kathy's going to talk to dental hygienists about to how approach legislators to try and get change, how they should be visiting their legislators, how they should be setting up meetings and taking them donuts and talking to them about dental hygiene, So it has to start ahead of time. We can't start doing it when things are introduced. Sometimes it's too late.
Yeah.
I
Do
think
you
it's a really important thing to point out. It's like, you do have continuing webinars for a lack of a better word on that one. And like some sort of, you have strategy to help the people who don't know how to do the thing, right? Like if I want to be involved, but I don't know, like, maybe I do, maybe I don't, I can watch a freaking webinar with one of the most brilliant brains that we know as far as like legislative,
She's
acumen
amazing.
in the hygiene. She's so smart. Kathy Kevin's on, by the way, everyone, for, you've heard her on the show before, but who will give you just those little turnkey things that you can do in your municipalities and in your state level things, like whatever you want. Like she's so good. And I love that you guys are offering that with some regularity.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think that a lot of hygienists don't understand the legislative process. How is a bill introduced? Where does it start? How does it pass? What do we need to do before that? They don't get the basics of it all. And I think that if we are going to be targeting legislation, we have to understand it so that we approach our legislators the right way. We can't come about demanding or saying or putting any organization down. They'll shut down right away. That's not the way that you
Mhm.
do it. And that's what Kathy's going to be speaking on tonight.
I just hate that we're always on our heels, it feels like. And I feel like if we understand the legislative process a little bit better as individuals, not as members of an organization, but just as Andrew, the hygienist, then we're going to be in a better position to maybe be a little bit more proactive. I won't probably still go to too many of the town halls, but you know what? When I know there's something, I might actually go now. And that is different of a mindset than what I normally would be, where it's like go to work, come home, go to work, come home, family time, and just kind of like live in my own little world now and be, better aware of my surroundings, which I think is
Yeah,
really good.
we have to be. I don't think we have a choice. We're in a state of emergency now, right? And we have to tackle it.
Was there any questions that you were hoping we were going to ask you that we didn't ask you?
I
Any
think you're
topics you
pretty
want to cover
thorough.
before we go?
I think we
Sorry.
touched on a lot. Just encouraging. The other pushback that I'm getting is, oh my gosh, you're asking me for $100. Like this is too much money. And I'm
Then give
thinking,
25.
God, yeah. And here's the problem, Jackie, because we are in all transparency, Andrew and Jackie, we are fully committed. If we can't meet our goal, we're returning all the money back. So if I start taking $5, $10 donations, how much
Yeah.
work is that creating
Yeah.
for me?
Yeah.
So that's the reason we have to set a specific limit, And for me, the way that and maybe people will attack me for this, but give up the Petty and Manny that month. Give up your
Or
Starbucks that month.
or get all of your hygiene friends to pitch in $25
Yes.
and one person's
And
gonna
then
give the
one
100.
person gives 100. Like there's
Join
so many
together,
ways.
ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, I agree. There's so many ways that you can get to that. And like I said, with 200,000 hygienists across the nation, if we can't get 4,000 hygienists to give $100, that's sad. That's really sad.
You will.
So,
We just have to keep
yeah,
getting the message out there.
I agree.
And
I'm
that's
an
why,
optimist.
I because I know so many hygienists are turning off social media. This
Yeah.
individual right here being one of those. The website is powerful. I know that you were asked on social media if you did have a website for those of us who don't do social much. So we just need to continue getting that out.
Yep.
For the listeners, I don't know when this podcast is coming out, but I want you to know that Lisandra, all three of the alliances, all of our associations will be present at Under One Roof. So any questions you have, these individuals are going to be there waiting to answer them and take your $100 donation.
Yes.
I like that. That was good. That
Feel
was a
that
nice little
marketing?
pitch.
Jackie.
I
That's
learned
good.
that
That's
from
what I meant
Andrew.
to
Yeah.
this.
Andrew's been teaching
Oh,
me
my.
how to be a marketer.
Is
Whatever.
that it?
Well, Lysandra, thank you so much for spending the time.
Oh,
And
you
also, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for just putting yourself in this position to take all the arrows and take all the heat that you're taking and just being strong enough to stand up for what's right. We need people like you. I'm very thankful that you are doing this for us. And thank you for being on the show.
Thank you, and thanks for highlighting this.
Thank you,
RDH,
Lysandra.
see you at RDH in the room roof.
See you soon.
Yeah, this is a tale, oh yeah, a tale of two hygienists. So there might be only one, bringing the best of dental knowledge, and we do it all with ease. We cover oral health and screening, and preventing gum disease. We're gonna do a lot of learning, and have a little bit of fun working at the dentist. A tale of two hygienists.